Welcome to Module 4.3.8, Postzygotic RIMs. These are reproductive isolating mechanisms that take effect after a hybrid mating has occurred and a zygote can potentially be formed. One such mechanism is gamete incompatibility, where the hybrid mating has occurred, but then a zygote isn't truly formed because there may be different numbers of chromosomes in the gametes. So this is one possible postzygotic reproductive isolating mechanism. A second postzygotic rim can be unviable offspring. For example, on the left is a goat, on the right is a sheep, and hybrid matings can occur, but the offspring simply don't develop correctly, and they will die before sexual maturity. In many cases, they will die before being born, and the result will be a spontaneous abortion. And this can be critically important. For example, in leopard frogs, we have a similar mechanism that if we have matings of different species, that the offspring simply are not viable. And the problem with this in a natural population is, of course, that it greatly reduces the fitness of those parents that are involved in hybrid matings. They have a limited number of opportunities to reproduce, and if they waste one of these with a member of a different species and they don't produce viable offspring, it greatly diminishes their fitness. Let's look at the third and the last example of a postzygotic rim, and this is infertile offspring. And the classical example of this, in which hybrid offspring may be viable, but they are not fertile, they're sterile, would be mules. Okay, a female horse and a male donkey mate, they produce an offspring, and mules show hybrid vigor, in which they are stronger and larger than either of the parents. And mules were preferentially bred back in the days when horsepower meant animals instead of machines. And so mules were important for transportation and work at that time. The problem with being sterile is that they don't contribute to subsequent generations, and therefore they don't improve the fitness of the parent. Now, here's a donkey, here's a horse, and here's a mule. Donkeys have a reputation for being very stubborn, and maybe true, maybe not. I don't have a great deal of experience. Horses, if you goad them, you can overwork them to such an extent that they will actually die. Now, that will never happen to a donkey, and a mule actually is able to do a lot of work, but it has inherited the ability to say enough is enough from the donkey, and it will stop working. And so that can be, or at least it was, a valuable attribute. There are people who greatly prefer to ride mules because of their even temperament. I know in the Apache Wars that a number of the cavalry troops would use mules, or at least certainly they'd use them as pack animals, but some of the troopers also rode them. In any case, that will conclude this module.